Alright, so just looking at your materials, everything's looking pretty good. Um, I'll let you make some artistic choices here, and then towards the end maybe we'll tweak things a little bit. I would still put subsurface on her face, and I kind of talked about that in my last video, so I'm not going to go over subsurface too much. One of the kind of interesting things that I'm seeing, let me open your materials here, is kind of how you're choosing your specularity for the skin. Let me find your face. So right here with the face color and the edge color, and I know you have this set to artistic, but normally the edge and the face color, it's not going to be tinted similar to the tint of the skin. So you'll have things like copper, brass, certain metals. There are objects that will reflect the same color into the specular highlight, but usually skin is not one of those. So if you're trying to get an artistic choice and you're going for a certain look and you feel like you're getting it with that, then that's cool. I'll let you go with it, and we'll kind of see where it ends up at the end. But usually you'll leave these closer to a white, or it's going to be the reflected color of the light bouncing off of it. So if you set this to physical, you would normally have these both set to white and then just control the value of them, and then that color would be chosen for you based on the light that's reflecting off that surface. So there's always a difference between like reality and when you go into something cartoony like you're going for. So I think what you have is giving you an interesting look to this. So I wouldn't say that it's wrong. When we start abstracting things, who's to really say what's wrong? And aesthetically, I like where you're going with things. I just wanted to give you some information to kind of help guide you on those choices. I'd also say maybe your lip, you could tighten up that highlight a little bit. So if you are painting a map for your roughness, which it doesn't look like you are quite yet, you might want to paint a map for the roughness to control the lips, so the specularities on the lips different than the specularity on the face. Looking at the bodysuit, I would just kind of pick through and look at see here we go, different bodysuits and what's the specularity that you're actually going for with it. So looking through just a bunch of different suits here, you'll see some that have a little more high specularity and aren't quite as dull as what you have here, and then some have a little bit more dullness to it. So is it more of a fabric? Is it more of a leather? Is it more of a latex? So I would say just kind of think about the reflectivity of the suit a little bit more and what you're trying to get out of it. And then the last thing is the eyes, and I'll put these links in for you as well. But I would encourage to switch you up, or to have you switch up to a multiple layered eye setup here. So you're gonna have two different spheres, if you will. One's going to be the outer, and then the rest of it's going to be the inner. So this kind of shows you how it's broken apart. There's another one here where this is the outer, and it's going to give you your reflection and your refraction. This would be the inner cornea. And then with the cornea, you could use subsurface as you want. It's going to give you some of those warmer colors. It's going to scatter some of the light coming through. You'll then have one piece for the iris, and you can kind of see it down here. This would be the map that you would use for your iris and your pupil. So you could hand paint this. You could use the one that you already have here, but that's going to be for the iris, and you can see how it angles inward a little bit. And what that's going to give you is it's going to give you this darker shape up here and the highlight towards the bottom. So if you look at your eyes, they're kind of lit evenly across. That's going to give you a little bit more kind of dynamic look into your eyes, a little bit more depth, a little bit more richness. So I would encourage you to kind of go towards this setup. Um, if you don't feel like you have the time or you don't want to explore this type of setup, you could hand paint that kind of stuff. So I would take this texture into Photoshop and use a little bit of dodge and burn to kind of get that shadow on the top and the highlight more towards the bottom, right? So that's kind of the things that I would go about trying to change here. If you do want to switch up the eyes, I know Ken, he's going to, like I said, be art directing you next week. He's well versed in this same eye setup, as are all of us. So if you have questions with it, he could walk you through it. I'm going to give you the links to this little kind of tutorial right here that you can kind of look at and gather some more information from. So hope that critique was helpful, and you're doing a good job. Just kind of keep exploring it. I would always say, go back and grab reference when you're trying to come up with the look of something, right? So again, look at the leathers, look at the different latex materials on here, look at the specular highlights, look at how if there's subsurface or the light's being diffused or dispersed, and that's going to help you kind of or guide you into creating those shaders. So good job, keep it up, and if you have any more questions, you can send them back to me tonight, and I'll probably still answer you, but come tomorrow, just make sure that you're emailing Ken.